What is going on, my Super Sandwiches? Ronson here, and today I'm joined by a couple of awesome fellers off of YouTube, and today we're going to be discussing the perfect Dragon Ball Z game. Now before I start, Rhyme what is the perfect Dragon Ball Z game as a topic? And well, basically what I did is I brought up a couple guys who play Dragon Ball Z games on YouTube, and I guess in everyday life, and I asked them, what is it that you would want in the perfect Dragon Ball Z game? Not in like Xenoverse 2, not in Burst Limit 2, but like if you were in the president's seat of like Bandai Namco or DIMS or whichever developer, what are 3 things that you would want the most in the next Dragon Ball Z game? Now again, we're not talking about Xenoverse 2, we're not talking about Burst Limit 2, we're not talking about Zenkai Battle Royale, we'll talk about, fresh slate. If you could pick 3 things, what is it? So how about we start off with Toasty, because apparently he has a good list. Toasty, what are the 3 things that you would want to see in a Dragon Ball Z game?
Alright, I got you. Alright, listen, alright. So, this is all in a 3D game, only because personally for me, I've played 3D games more. Now, obviously 2D games are great, but 3D games are my shit. So, that's what we're going to be putting them in. For first one, I have story mode similar to Infinite World, but with an open world. So, pretty much Budokai 3 and Infinite World merged together. So, what I'm saying is, I want a story mode. Think about it like Ultimate Tenkaichi, but I know it's bad, but Ultimate Tenkaichi had an open world, although I really want it to be expanded upon more. So, give me cutscenes that are really good, like Infinite World, but obviously, you know, upgraded to the PS4 generation because Infinite World's PS2. But give me cutscenes that are really awesome and fitting for the show, as well as giving me a open world to go through, just like in Budokai 3. And then I have create a character. I just love that.
Before you go to that, so when you say cutscenes, are you talking about just in story mode or like in the fights as well?
No. Only in, like, just like around the fights. Like, so before and after the fight, you get a cutscene.
Okay, gotcha.
Alright, and also, create a character. I just love that mechanic. I think it could be really done especially better than it was in Xenoverse, and I think that if we can get create a character again, and it could just be like a lot more in-depth, get more hairstyles, more pieces of clothing we can wear, allow us to change the colors of the clothing that we wear from other characters. Like if I wear Goku's gi, I should be able to change the color of Goku's gi to a different color. And then the last one is change the dynamics in hero mode, or, well, I guess the story mode if you want to say, but allowing your created character to go through good or bad choices, or allowing your character to either use these choices to go on a different story path. So the story will change depending on what you choose for your character. So kind of like Infamous, you choose a good or bad side and it will change the story according to what you pick. And yeah, that's really it for my list. I just want a really in-depth game with my created character, and there were instances in Ultimate Tenkaichi where I was hoping, yeah, what if my character was bad in this sense and he wanted to do the opposite of what was good, because he was in Ultimate Tenkaichi, your character obviously spoke for himself, he had his own voice, and he was really just the basic good guy. And I want to see how you can, you know, maybe if I go into the bad side, I can fight against Goku in the end, or if I'm on the good side, then I fight against, if we're going to go through Dragon Ball Super, maybe I fight against Champa in the end, something like that. I want to have some sort of like story where everything in the story will change around your actions. So whoever you fight in the end will also depend on what choice you pick. Like
so really for you, the big one is just kind of a story-focused type of game then?
Yeah, pretty much, at least for this.
Okay. Afro, what do you have?
Okay, well, first and foremost, excuse me, a lot of you guys may not agree with me with this first choice, but you know what? My name is Afro, right? So let's just let this be known.
And if Afro you disagree that his name isn't Afro, let us know in the comment section.
All right, yeah, if you disagree. Yes, okay. So if there's a created character mode for any such new game, whatever, if they give me a Afro with a receding hairline like they did in Xenoverse, I will cry, alright? That hurt me. If they give me choices of Afros, give me high tops, give me low tops, give me big Afros, give me small with a proper hairline. That's all I ask for. Nah, but in all seriousness, that's really what I actually would want. I'm just weird. But the other thing I would really like, because if you guys played Raging Blast, you know how they do the Super Saiyan. When you get hit or knocked back, your hair goes back to like a faded gold as it had in the anime. I really like that whole aesthetic to Super Saiyan, like that. It really didn't do anything for like what am I trying to say? Like, it didn't do anything besides the look, you know? I really just like that whole look in the 3D setting. It doesn't have to really be 3D or 2D for me, because that's not really my focus. I like the whole variation of Dragon Ball Z games. If I'm down with new games, I'm down with the older styles. I just like Dragon Ball Z in a whole. So whatever it is, I'll play it. That's where I'm coming from. And the other thing I really want is just more of a, what am I trying to say? Like, you know how when the stamina, if you will, like, yeah. So like the system of how when someone gets tired. Before it was like if you get like hit past the key, when your key's lowered, and like Budokais, you would like take a minute to hold your chest, and you know, it's like, you know what I'm saying, they'll be tired, they couldn't do anything. I would kind of like it more close to the anime in a sense, to where, like, you know how sometimes I'll use the Kid Buu saga as a reference. So you know when Goku was fighting Buu, and it got to a point where he needed to charge his energy, and it got to a point where he couldn't really charge it past a certain point, and he just couldn't do anything, you know? So let's say if you charge one time, you charge really fast, but the more times, like, it goes to 0 and you gotta charge up again, it gets slower. Or like if you get knocked at a Super Saiyan, there's more penalties in regards to your stamina coming up slower, yada yada, you know, a more anime eccentric system based around how it was there to in a game, if you will. So just little things like that with the look and just that in a whole, which what I would like. Plus the Afro thing, I actually really am serious about that. Like I just have I like that, you know, that's my shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I just need it.
Don't include afros, and it's really a tragedy. I mean,
it really is a tragedy.
We need to start
tragedy.
Those work.
Tragedy, never forget. Nah, but I remember it was Xenoverse when I first got in there. I'm just like, I need to get an afro. Once I get this afro, I'm gonna be good, you know. I'm gonna go Super Saiyan with the afro. I'm gonna be one with who I am. But it was a wig, couldn't even go Super Saiyan, and it had the most meanest hairline of all time. It hurt me. So
It was Hercules.
that was just that was one thing I just had to put out there. But that's for me.
Okay, Thunder, what do you got?
All right, well, I've been doing a little bit of thinking. I know a lot of people are going to come into the comment section and be like, oh my god, you guys aren't mentioning that we want every character in the game, and we need destructible environments. And I want to be able to fly around the whole Dragon Ball world dynamic and all this shit. Like, I think what we're shooting for here is realistic possibilities that we could potentially see in games, and that's why you might not hear us mentioning those things, because we're trying to keep for something that could actually happen as opposed for the greatest, most magical game that could ever exist, you know what I mean? But if I'm narrowing it down to 3 things, I've been thinking back to things that I liked from previous games, and I'm honestly going to say that when I had the most fun playing Xenoverse, it wasn't later on when I was doing the story modes or when I was doing fights with other people, and even though they were awesome, it wasn't when I was doing parallel quests with my friends. It was actually my journey with my created character through the story mode, so I am going to take the Toasty route here and say that if they heavily focus on story mode and our character customization and how we're able to transform throughout the story mode, whether it be your Frieza race, you're getting your second, third, final, golden form, what have you, or Saiyans ascending to Super Saiyan and beyond, things like that. I liked his idea of picking evil or good, but I liked what Xenoverse did because as far as story mode goes, because we've done the regular Dragon Ball Z story mode line so many times that Dragon Ball Z games started coming out that didn't even have a story mode. We got things like Raging Blast 2 story mode, which Raging Blast 2 is still one of my favorite games of all time. It did not have a story mode. Its story mode was not fun for me in any way, shape, or form. But they only went that route because we'd played through the average regular DBZ line so many times. I liked what Xenoverse did, and I think if you had a game that was solely focused on that, you could get a much bigger story mode, you could get a much broader story mode, you could get a whole lot more in-depth with created characters. So that's kind of my dream setup as well. I'm going to throw out an idea, not necessarily because it's one that my Dragon Ball Z game needs, it's just one that I haven't heard yet that I think is really interesting. I want to be able to create a move. I want to be able to create a move. I think that would be cool. Let me pick my hand placement, let me pick what color the beam is, how big it is, how long it lasts. I mean, you know, obviously the different size and how long it takes to charge could affect the energy of the move and how strong it is overall.
That sounds so scary, by the way, now you think about it. Because think about how abused that system would be.
Like I immediately pictured somebody making like a tutorial how to make a really overpowered beam, whatever, and everybody copies that.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to make it OP, you would have to charge it for like. That's the thing. If you would want to make it OP, you'd have to charge it for like 10 minutes. You want to make it as strong as a Spirit Bomb, you got to charge it. I mean, the best thing they could do is make like a weak, really quick blast, like a weak Death Beam or something. I don't know. It's not an idea I put a lot of thought into.
It sounds good on paper.
No, but think about it. If it's really detailed. If it's really detailed, that could be just something cool just to have in general. If the power with the attack itself is balanced, so where, like, let's say if I can make like a Caitlyn Jenner face Spirit Bomb, you know what I'm saying? But it can't really do anything to you besides the regular damage of a Spirit Bomb. I think that would work out if you look at it like that instead of.
You just want to be able to color your own.
They have to do it right. If they don't do it right, if they like leave like the smallest holes open. I mean, obviously, Xenoverse's big problem was custom created characters could be made really overpowered, and if they don't test everything with moves, you'll just see everybody tossing homing Spirit Bombs left and right.
I think if they were going to do it, it would take enough focus that it would almost have to be the main point of the game. Yeah, like Xenoverse kind of revolved around the main point, which you had a custom character and he had his own unique storyline to go through. I think if they were going to do that, it would have to revolve around you being able to create a move, almost, just to have that much focus on it to make it work correctly. But a fallback idea being what Afro's was, where you just kind of get to customize the aura and maybe a little bit of how it looks, or a little bit different of style of how you throw it. Maybe like Spirit Bomb 2 hands, 1 hand, whatever. Destructo does 2, 1, whatever. I don't know. But that's just something I wasn't hearing that I thought maybe it would be really cool to see. Probably not likely to happen, but yeah.
Yeah, that's an actual bonus for me, actually. Customizable auras. I thought we were going to get this in Xenoverse, but then they straight yeeted that. Alright, so Ultimate Tenkaichi, even though that game is bad, it had something really awesome in the fact that you can use anyone's aura from the Dragon Ball Z universe that was in the game, by the way. So, like, if I wanted to use Omega Shenron's aura, I could do it, and that aura was nice in that game. So was like Final Form Frieza's, like, they had a really nice auras in that game, so I want to be able to use an aura from a character that already exists, or make my own aura if you do really want to go in depth with that. But yeah, I want that.
But wait, Toasty, you already gave your 3 points. You can't change them now.
That's a bonus, I said. It says it's a bonus. It's like a bonus question on a test. It doesn't really matter if I get it wrong or not, but it's like, it's there. Just leave it alone.
So what I got from you three, you guys mostly want a story-focused game, and then on top of that, customization, essentially. What I have in mind is similar to that, but let's start off with the actual game itself. Now, with me, I've always loved the 3D games the most. You know, I grew up on the Tenkaichi. I love Raging Blast. Ultimate Tenkaichi was awful, but it was 3D, and that was kind of cool to, you know, play in that realm. But 3D games to me was my favorite compared to the 2D Budokai style games. So I want the next game to be 3D as well. But the big one, the most important thing that I want, this is the top on this, is advanced mechanics. And now when I say advanced mechanics, I'm talking about stuff that makes the fighting game, the fighting portion of it, you know, an actual fighting aspect of it. So being able to snap vanish, not the Xenoverse stuff. The Xenoverse added snap vanishing, which was great because Battle Z didn't have that. And essentially, when you were just in a combo, all you could just do is just sit there and just take the combo, take it. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's what pissed me off the most about Battle Z. But like when they added it back in Xenoverse, it was cool. It's just Xenoverse was more dumbed down. Like the best advanced mechanics I think existed in the previous games, like the Budokai and the Tenkaichi games, the Budokai games, and the Burst Limit games, where if you just time it right, you could snap out a move completely and then dodge it. Whereas Xenoverse kind of took the Storm approach, the Naruto Storm approach, where if you have enough, you know, energy, you can just snap out of it, and then basically you're chilling. But I think that's too easy. It should be more about mastering the art of timing, and if you do that, it can make some really intense battles. Like even with the Burst Limit fights, if you put two computers to go up against each other, they go freaking insane, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Like I want advanced mechanics. I would be able to snap out attacks. I would be able to do some really advanced, you know, moves where you can like do some crazy combos that you have to learn on your own. Essentially, kind of like a learning curve where it's easy to pick up, but you can get really good at the game, like the older games. Like that's my most important part. The next one, like I said, a 3D fight style. I like the 3D arena style. I want to make sure the maps are big, which Xenoverse did a pretty good job at. But the final one, and I want to agree with you guys, is customization, because I feel like customization, whether it's creating characters or customizing another character, does add on to longevity. Like you can take a main character, for example, like a preset like Goku or Gohan or Cell, Frieza, whatever, change their moves, you know, or even take a custom character and then further customize them to your liking. I think that definitely adds longevity, and it made Xenoverse a lot more fun because after you make one character, you make another one. So it definitely just you know, opened up a whole new door for possibility in Dragon Ball Z games. So I definitely got to go with customization last. Right. But I feel like there's a lot more that we could add in here. But of course, we can't talk about everything. So the rest of, I guess, the purpose of this video is to ask you guys, the viewers, what is it that would make the perfect Dragon Ball Z game for you? Let us know in the comment section below. And you don't have to be limited to 3. You can literally say 1,000 things if you want. Like, go crazy in the comments. Basically, say everything that you want to get in the game. Like, remember, we're not talking about Xenoverse 2. We're not talking about if Burst Summon 2 ever happened. We're just talking about a game. Like, if you were in a pilot seat for the next DBZ game, what is it that you would want to see? Comment below. So yeah,
I've got a question for you guys before we wrap up here. What is one feature that you've seen in past games that you don't want to come back? What's one thing? Maybe it's something that they keep throwing into Xenoverse, or not Xenoverse. Maybe it's something they keep throwing into Dragon Ball games that you don't like, or maybe it's something that popped up for one game. Just a specific feature that you really didn't like, and something that you wouldn't want to come back pretty much no matter what.
Dragon Rush, Dragon Rush, Dragon Rush, Dragon Rush, Dragon Rush,
yeah,
Dragon Rush, Dragon Rush.
I was about to say that.
Dragon Rush
would you like to enlighten the people?
I don't care what anyone says, man. That is the most annoying, stupid, luck-based mechanic that has ever been in a Dragon Ball Z game. I never want to see it again. Ever.
Well, hold on. Just for people who may not know, do you want to fill them in real quick?
Alright, so Dragon Rush was in Budokai 3. It's pretty much where you use Hyper Mode and you use a Kamehameha or a strong hit attack, and you go into a luck-based thing where you have to hit a certain button, and if you hit a button that the computer or your friend doesn't hit, then you do more damage damage to them. You can get up to 1,000 damage on it with one thing, and it is completely luck based. There's no
and if they if they just happen to hit the same button as you, it cancels out your move,
It's like Ultimate
right?
Tenkaichi, but a little bit in Budokai 3. Like, it's awful. I hate it so much, and I hate when people defend it because it's so luck based, and it has there's no possible way of like saying, oh yeah, but this is strategic because this. No, if you're able to like say what the computer's gonna do, that's not because like the mechanic is good. That's because the system on the CPU is flawed. I hate that mechanic, and I hope it never comes back in any Dragon Ball.
I will 100% agree with that because I've been playing a lot of Budokai 3 in the last week, and that's the one thing that it reminds me of why I didn't like Budokai 3 as much as the other games, just because of that stupid system as well. So
that's the reason Budokai 2 was the go-to game, right?
But to kind of go off what Toasty said, what I don't want to see is more stuff that you're kind of not in control of, which they did with Xenoverse so far, where you stay in control most of the fight. I don't want to do, like, I know it's going to be weird. I'm not a big fan of beam struggles. I'm not a big fan of anything that takes over the screen. So, for example, the drama pieces in Burst Limit were annoying. They're cool the first time. It's cool to see, you know, like, Krillin jump in or so-and-so, something happen that adds up to the fight. But, like, over time, that gets really old. It gets really old to see those drama scenes. It gets really old to fall in the Dragon Rush every 3 seconds. I just want to play the game. I just want to be in control, and that's one reason why Xenoverse became one of my most favorite Dragon Ball Z games. That's because you're in control the whole time. You don't have to worry about running into crap like that. So that's my thing.
Beam struggles and hit clashes didn't bother me. I don't think they should be decided by who can mash buttons the best. I would personally rather do like a quick time event and who's the fastest a few times.
If they brought back like something like that, I'd be okay with that, because now it's not like about button mashing the fastest or spinning your D-pad the fastest. It's just about if a button pops up, you press it, whoever presses it first, stuff like that would be kind of cool. But like anything else where you're just kind of like rock paper scissors, you're just kind of sitting there waiting for the cutscene, it was just annoying to me, and it gets redundant over time.
I'm fine with that.
What do you got, Afro?
Said, like, if it was in Raging Blast, like when you would do like when someone's switching out or whatever, that's fine because it's not random. It depends on who can press the button faster. In Dragon Rush, it's completely random.
Well,
you press the button and hope they don't press it, or look at your friend's controller and see what they're pressing.
Yeah, but for me, I just slapped my friend's controller. That was my idea. Just like, fuck you, bro.
That'd be so fucked. I would never.
I mean,
what do you got, Afro?
For me, it was just like, they don't do it anymore. But remember how in like the old Budokais, the complicated method to charge up, it was like X back or some shit? That was the only thing I can ever think of that I just never wanted to be back again. Because I remember as a kid, I literally tried everything in my power. I spent a whole fucking day to figure out how to charge. When I finally figured it out, I'm like, yes, this is lame as fuck, but I got it, I don't want to have to go through. I have to look through everything. Granted, you could look on the control manual to see how you do it, but I was a kid. Fuck that shit. I got to go in. So that was just my thing. I didn't.
There are a lot of people who will defend that, but I always hated that style too. Like, no, I don't want to push left down, right up, square, triangle, X, penis to throw a fucking spirit bomb.
It's nice
like, I'm gonna be here all day, and you go into training mode, and you got to spend like a whole week of just punching a guy a few times to build up the key. Start. Menu, skill list, down. Okay, try to memorize it, fuck it up, do it again.
Wait,
that always bothered me.
How do you guys feel about it in Xenoverse then? Like, since some moves, like, how do you feel about that? You haven't hit?
I'm okay with it, honestly.
Okay.
Like, simplicity, I guess, is the good part. But one last thing I wanted to point out was what I don't want them to do again is a Xenoverse multiplayer system. Please, for the love of God, in the next game, kind of focus on not giving us a the hit detection shit. Because that's the only thing that ruins Xenoverse. I mean, Xenoverse.
What do you mean? You want them to take multiplayer out of the
menu
game?
Too, please, a menu. I don't want to run through a city to go to multiplayer.
If you get into a game, a game, it's like 5-star, connection. It's fine, but like most of the fights in Xenoverse were so bad, and they got worse over time too, which is what ended up killing the game. This past summer. Make sure that the online is A1. I think that should be the most important part, because online is what's going to keep the game alive for months and months and months and months. Yeah,
that is a driving factor to having a good game or not. How good is the online, really?
Nowadays. My thing, I didn't want to come back, and it was kind of a small one. I never in Raging Blast 2 once enjoyed Raging Soul mode. Yeah. Every time I did it by accident, and if you tried to block right when you got fully charged, it was the same button as fucking block, and you couldn't turn it off. And I bothered the hell out of me. That was just my little minor nitpick.
A lot of people like it because it opens up the combo that you can do, the Raging Soul combo. And the Raging Soul combo, granted, is really cool because you get that animation where you're like hitting them and you're not visible, like boom, boom, boom. But kind of like how fights are seen by like humans and everything in Dragon Ball and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really hate it, but I never knew how to do the combo because I suck. But yeah,
if I could have turned it off, it wouldn't have bothered me. But you can't turn it off, and it was permanently locked to whatever the block button was.
Yeah. But before this video gets super long, we want to know from you guys, so what is it that you want to see in a perfect Dragon Ball Z game, and what is something that you don't want to see that they did in the past? Let us know in the comment section below. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we end this?
No.
Customizable afros, just think about
customizable
that.
afros, and don't forget that Toasty,
Dragon Rush
got 4 things instead of 3 because he's greedy. Anyways,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, leave a like right below, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys in the comment section below.